that contact will result in dukkha yonaya evate. Yoni means birthplace. That contact of the senses with the sense objects becomes a birthplace for dukkha, for misery. And so all that type of so-called happiness is going to have a beginning and an end. And therefore, na teshu ramate buddha. Therefore, one who is intelligent does not take part in such so-called sources of happiness. Or rather, they are all sources of misery. And being convinced of this is something which is very vital, even in practices of devotional service, because as Prabhupada says, adoption of devotional service for material gain is certainly an obstruction to the progressive path of renunciation. So, if we are not convinced of this fact that material life, so-called material happiness is simply a cause of misery, if we are not convinced of this, then even after coming to devotional service, we'll search for some material happiness while practicing devotional service. Because we are not convinced that actually this is going to be a source of suffering. Therefore, I need to practice devotional service which is ahetuki, without any material motives. So when I understand that any type of material motives in my practice of devotional service is going to be a source of misery, then to that degree I become inspired to practice pure devotional service. Right. Of course, we won't go into the details of these different types of devotional service which Lord Kapila speaks in the 3rd canto. There he speaks about devotional service which is contaminated by the modes, goodness, passion, ignorance, or basically mixed devotional service. Now you have studied mixed devotional service in Bhagavad Gita. Where?
No, in the 16th chapter, no, the 17th chapter, 18. The 3 modes.
Okay, 3 modes are there, but where specifically does Krishna speak about mixed?
12th chapter. We say the
9th chapter also, that next word, that are different levels of devotional service.
Okay, that's correct, but more precisely, where does Krishna speak about Karma Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, and Yoga Mishra Bhakti?
From 1 to 6 and from...
At least you should know because I covered it. Okay, I'll give you a hint. 7th chapter. Four types of people. Chaturvida vajanti mam jana supratanarjuna arto jigyasur ardhati jnani. So all these are what? Yes, this is mixed devotional service. So amongst these, artho, jigyasu, artharti. All these 3 are which type? Yes, karma mishra bhakti. And the jnani is jnana mishra bhakti. And in the 8th chapter, in that entire section from 10 to 13, Krishna speaks about yoga mishra bhakti. In the 8th chapter. 8th chapter verses 10 to 13, that is yoga mishra bhakti. Okay, so this is all Mishra Bhakti. One is practicing devotional service, but there's some contamination. There are some other desires while practicing devotional service. And that's what Srila Prabhupada is writing over here. Now, adoption of devotional service for material gain is certainly an obstruction to the progressive path of renunciation. And further down he says, therefore devotional service to the Lord must be pure in quality, that is without the least desire for material enjoyments. That is the meaning of ahaituki. No other motive while practicing devotional service. Only one motive. And what is that?
The pleasure of the Lord.
Yes, only to please Guru and Krishna. That should be the only motive. That's pure love. That's the standard of pure devotional service. And so anything else, if we are bringing in some personal motives, then that becomes a contamination in the practice of devotional service. And any material desire is going to be the cause of suffering. Bhukti, mukti, siddhi, kami, sakale, ashanta, krishna bhakta, nishkama, ateva, shanta. So if we want to be shanta, if we don't want to get suffering, then we have to be free from bhukti, mukti, siddhi, kami, from all these various types of desires.
We were saying that we are looking for happiness because we are in a discomfortable situation. But Ananda Mayobhyasat, it's
Yes.
our nature.
Yes, it's our nature to find happiness, but we are trying to find happiness in the wrong place. That's correct. It's our nature to find happiness, but this material world is the wrong place for it.
And externally, as a for the sadhakas, they are in the same condition than the karmis, because as soon as they stop devotional service, they are suffering. So they have to constantly bring their mind into Krishna, which naturally will not go.
Correct. That's why it's called sadhana. Because the sadhaka constantly has to put that effort, because it's not natural. Till one comes to the point of nishta, ruchi, asakti, till that point of time it's not natural to remember Krishna. So that's why sadhana bhakti means to follow the process given by the acharyas by which we are able to constantly endeavor to remember Krishna. We have to make that constant endeavor. It's not going to be natural.
So we suffer for the good thing.
Yes, but it's good. Yes. That is called tapasya. Voluntarily accepting some discomfort for a higher cause. Yes. For us it's tapasya. When one comes to the higher stages of bhava and prema, then it becomes natural. Right. But till that point of time it's called tapasya. Yes. Okay. Now, there is one more meaning of the word ahetuki, and that is no cause. Here also, if you see the word-to-word meaning, Prabhupada says causeless. In the word-to-word, Prabhupada says causeless. Of course, in the translation, he says unmotivated, and so both the meanings are there. So we won't go into the details because I'm sure this has been covered in the Nectar of Devotion. But how can you say that, or let's put it another way, what's the cause of bhakti?
Bhakti is the cause of bhakti.
Yes, bhakti is the cause of bhakti. What do you mean by that?
You don't get bhakti because of some pious activity or something that you have done.
Exactly. So, how do you get it?
By serving the pure devotees, you get affinity for hearing, and from there you get bhakti.
Okay, that means there's a cause.
Yeah.
Bhakti.
Yeah, but
the cause
there is no
itself is
spirit.
the
There
law.
is no material cause. There is a spiritual cause. I mean,
But still it's a cause.
yeah, it's a cause there.
Then how do you say it's causeless?
Because bhakti is itself spiritual.
Okay, fine. Your point is right. You had something else?
It's the same thing.
Yes. So basically bhakti is the cause of bhakti. Association of devotees is the cause. But association of devotees is an anga of bhakti. And because it is an anga of bhakti, therefore, bhakti sanjayate bhakti. Bhakti is only the cause of bhakti. There is no other cause. Just like 14th chapter of Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami explains how Jnana and Vairagya are not the causes of bhakti. Or rather, now we will see how Jnana and Vairagya are the byproducts of bhakti. They are the results of bhakti. They are not the cause of bhakti. So because there is no other cause of bhakti, yes, association of devotees is definitely the cause, but that is an anga of bhakti. So therefore, bhakti itself is a cause of bhakti. There is no other cause. So that is the meaning, another meaning of ahetuki, which means causeless. Of course, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur goes into great details of that explanation, but we are not going through it because you have already studied it.
The same thing, Guru.
Hmm?
In NRD Vishnu Chakravarti.
No, here, in the commentary to this verse. So maybe I'll just read the conclusive part of that. So, as you can see here, he quotes that from the 11th canto. Bhaktya sanjayate bhaktya bibrati utpulakam tanum. The devotee possesses a body with ecstatic symptoms by prema developed through sadhana bhakti. And he's giving examples. The examples he gives is of raw mango, ripe mango. So it's not that the raw mango is the cause of the ripe mango. No, it's mango. But it just gets ripened. It's not the cause. Right? It's not the cause of the mango. And the other example he's giving is about the various states of infancy, youth, adulthood. In one person are actually not conditions of cause and results of that cause. It's the same person, different conditions, right? And then he gives, on the other hand, when pots, cloth and cooked rice arise, the original names and forms of mud, thread and raw rice disappear. So therefore he says that's cause and effect. Mud is the cause of pot, or thread is the cause of cloth, or raw rice is the cause of cooked rice. So that's cause and effect. But raw mango, ripe mango is not cause and effect. It's the same thing, basically. And those original causes disappear. And so therefore he says that one also cannot say that the famous cause of bhakti is association of devotees. For association of devotees is part of bhakti. It is the second stage, sadhu sangha. So therefore one cannot, nor can it even be said that the mercy of the Lord is the cause of pure bhakti, for it is a non-final cause. Okay, somebody read that paragraph, maybe we can just discuss.
Nor can it even be said that the mercy of the Lord is the cause of pure bhakti, for it is non-final cause, making one search out a further cause. One cannot say that the Lord's mercy is absolute without a further cause, for then it would mean the Lord is unjust and prejudiced in choosing to give mercy without reason to certain individuals and not to others. However, if one says that the cause of bhakti is the mercy of the devotee, it is not so incorrect. For the Uttama Bhaktas do not make distinctions and are thus not prejudiced. One does see the Madhyama Bhakta making distinctions between the Lord, the devotee, the innocent and the demon. Thus, because the Lord is dependent on the devotee, the Lord's mercy follows after the mercy of the devotee. That is the correct conclusion.
Okay, so that Siddhanta is very important to remember. Was that the Lord's mercy follows after the mercy of the devotee. This is the Lord's policy. The Lord's policy is that He does not give mercy directly. His mercy follows the mercy of the devotee. And then okay, so somebody may say the devotee's mercy is the cause. Then is the devotee prejudiced, partial? He gives mercy to some, he does not give mercy to others. Well, that's the duty of the Madhyamadikari to distinguish. You know those characteristics of Madhyamadikari? 4. Prema, Maitri, Krupa, Upeksha. So this is the duty of the Madhyamadikari preacher to distinguish between various individuals. And so he distinguishes and he gives mercy accordingly. And then the Lord's mercy follows the devotee's mercy. Okay? So therefore the Lord's mercy is not the final cause, because that Lord's mercy only follows the devotee's mercy. Then can we say the devotee's mercy is the cause? So here he says, because the Lord's mercy is included in the mercy of the devotee, and because that mercy is included in association with devotees, and because devotee association is an anga of bhakti, bhakti is said to be without cause, because an anga of bhakti causes bhakti. Okay, so basic point is that bhakti causes bhakti. There is no other cause. That is the point. Therefore it is ahetuki.
Just small doubt. Like as we hear the sloka said, Brahman Pavitra Kono Bhagavan Ji Guru Krishna Prasad Pai Bhakti Lata. Guru and Krishna simultaneously. So how to understand this one, because as here we say that the devotees mercy, then Krishna's mercy is followed. But
Correct.
here it is saying like both. How to understand?
Yes, so both are required, no? But see, yes, both are required. Guru's mercy is required, Krishna's mercy is required. But if you see the sequence of events, then it is first devotee's mercy, then Krishna's mercy.
Just nothing else.
Or in that same purport, in the purport to Brahmana Brahmite Kona Bhagyavanji, in that same purport, Prabhupada writes, and Prabhupada said it many times, and that is, by the mercy of Krishna, one gets Guru, and by the mercy of Guru, one gets Krishna. This is how it works. So, when Krishna, who is situated as Paramatma within the heart, he sees that here is an individual soul who is very eager to come out of material existence. Then Krishna directs him to a guru, or he directs a guru to come to him. Just in the case of Dhruva Maharaj. And then what does the guru do? He gives the process by which he gets Krishna's mercy. That's how it is. So therefore, in one purport, Srila Prabhupada says that the spiritual master and the Supreme Lord have a team effort. It's a team. They work together. Because after all, who's Guru? Guru is also a manifestation of Krishna's mercy. So they're together in delivering the conditions.
Guru, the Madhyamadikari you told, right, he selects and based upon the fourth thing. But I was asking, like, is the Madhyamadikari is always just, or even he can make mistake in selecting someone or and not giving mercy to someone and giving to someone, as you mean even the circumstances and
Well, right here in this first canto, and our further purport will come to that point, where Srila Prabhupada explains that how the Krishna has given that power of attorney to the preacher. He's given that freedom. You decide. So, therefore, devotional service is free. The devotee is free, devotional service is free. Who gets it? Who does not get it? Well, it depends on the devotee who is preaching. Ultimately, as we just made the point, ultimately Krishna knows perfectly. Krishna knows perfectly who's supposed to get the mercy, who's not supposed to get the mercy, and Krishna does the job perfectly. But as it's the nature of Krishna to give credit to the devotee, so Krishna gives the credit to the devotee, and apparently it appears as if the devotee is free. And it's a fact, the freedom is there. Krishna has given freedom to the preacher, but at the same time, Krishna as Paramatma also is inspiring the preacher. Acts both ways. Yes.
So the correct steps for us to hear, so up through Shravan, Kirtan, and Vishnu Smaran, and then once we reach the platform of hearing, then we have the Paramatma in our heart, which we can connect to, and through that we get the bhakti, the beach, which we then grow. And then the steps would be for the mercy to come from devotees, and then from there then we would receive it from Krishna through Guru, who would then lead us to Krishna, and Krishna will lead us to Guru, and the Guru will lead us to Krishna. Is that the correct understanding?
Yes, yes.
So technically, we cannot think that the bhakti is a cause of something. It's only something that we can actively exercise our free will in deciding to engage in.
That's correct.
But then couldn't we not see the active nature of our intention to embark towards bhakti as a cause? Or is that not the right way of seeing it?
See, first of all, the association of devotees has to be there.
Right.
Correct? So without the association of a devotee, from where will we get bhakti in the first place?
Ah. Right.
Okay, now here is a devotee. Now I can use my free will, whether to associate with him or not. But in the first place, the association has to be there, isn't it?
Right.
So therefore, one can say that association of devotees is the cause. Just to give an example, so just like our Srila Prabhupada, his friend Narendra Malik said, here's a nice sadhu, please come. Correct? That's how it began, isn't it? At that point, as a leela, as a pastime, of course we know Srila Prabhupada, he was saying, no, I have seen enough. But anyway, he dragged him. But where did it begin? The association.
Right.
So that's how it all begins. But because association of devotees is also an anga of bhakti, so therefore it can be said that bhakti only is the cause of bhakti. There is no other cause.
Ah.
Therefore it is said to be causeless.
So because it's part of the bhakti process.
Yes. Hmm?
Just to make maybe a clarification on my part, is that Krishna needs a reason to give bhakti,
Krishna's nature is to give bhakti.
but does he need a reason?
Does
Because
it need
it
a-
was mentioned here that Krishna does not give
Mercy
without,
directly.
without reason, otherwise he would be prejudiced to be partial,
Hmm.
to be partial. So
Hmm.
he needs a reason to give bhakti. He needs.
No, it is just Krishna's policy that he does not give mercy directly. He makes the devotees a medium to give his mercy through. Because Krishna wants to empower the devotees. Krishna wants to give credit to the devotees. That's Krishna's nature. Krishna feels more pleasure when his devotees are glorified. And therefore he makes the devotees the carriers of his mercy.
So Krishna could give mercy without reason, but he preferred to let the glories to the devotees. So that's a reason as well. You know? But the reason for Krishna to give his mercy is to go through his devotees and to give
Mm.
the glories to his devotees.
Mm.
But the devotees like the Madhyamadikari, they don't select, they give really.
No, the Madhyamadikari
The
selects.
Uttamadikari.
Yes, the Uttamadikari does not select, but therefore it is said for the sake of preaching, even the Uttamadikari has to come to the Madhyam platform. Otherwise he cannot preach. The Uttamadikari, the Mahabhagavat, he thinks, what is his mentality? He thinks everyone is a devotee. In fact, better devotee than me. Only I am not a devotee. So if that's the mentality of the Mahabhagavat, how can he preach? He cannot preach on that platform. So therefore, it said the Mahabhagavat has to come to the Madhyam platform and make distinctions. Here is a devotee, here is a non-devotee, innocent, here is envious. Only on that platform it becomes possible to preach.
How about a newborn baby who is born as a devotee? Like he had a previous life where he was developed as a full swing, like a good devotee, and then he leaves his body,
Okay.
and in his next birth he's born as a devotee. You
Yes.
can see some children.
Yes.
also.
Yes.
So for them, how it will be like? Again, they are like a very good devotees, born
Yes.
as devotees.
Yes, that's fine. So therefore they have the, as Krishna explains in the 6th chapter of the Gita, Riyato avasho visaha. So very automatically such jivas, they develop attraction. They develop attraction to the process of bhakti. But yet, again, they have to use their free will to once again practice. They have the attraction to practice bhakti, they have the good sanskaras, they have all that. But the free will of the jiva always has to be used. Otherwise, again, as we see in so many cases, children born of devotee parents, but not everyone becomes a devotee. Because there are so many factors influencing that. And ultimately the free will has to be used. And that free will can be influenced by so many other factors. Well, was your question clear?
I'm just wondering if Krishna and the devotees do a distinction, then we can prejudice them from being partial.
Correct.
The goal is to spread freely the mercy.
Yes. So, yes, therefore the Acharyas explain that as far as the envious are concerned, why does a preacher not preach to those who are envious?
Because they will misuse, they will do offenses.
Exactly. That is beneficial or harmful to them?
Harmful.
That is why the preachers avoiding the envious is actually a form of mercy. It's not some sort of unjust discrimination. It is a just discrimination. In fact, that is for dhyan benefits. Because if a preacher preaches to the envious, his poison increases. And he only becomes more envious and offensive. Therefore, for their benefit, the preacher does not preach to the envious.
So envious of Krishna or envious of devotees?
Both are same.
Same.
Because many times we have seen people envious of devotees have become devotees of Krishna.
It is possible. It is possible.
So many examples.
Yes, but outright envious,
Okay.
especially like the Mayavadis. So Mayavadis, one has to keep a safe distance. Mayavad bhasha shunle, hoy sarvanash. Only somebody like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can preach to them. Otherwise we will get preached instead of preaching. Therefore such outright envious, then the preacher should keep distance. Otherwise usually in this world we find a mix. We find people who are to some degree envious, definitely. The very fact somebody is in the material world means he is envious. But they also have some faith. So those are good candidates for preaching. They may be a little envious, but they also have some faith, some innocence.
We can just
No,
take out
but there
this.
are two plans. One to the projector, one to the man.
The light is blue though.
So every 10 minutes or every 5 minutes you can
Okay, now before we conclude this verse, the other important point in the verse is apratihata. Apratihata means unbroken or without any interruption. So in that connection, this verse from the third canto can be quoted. Madguna shruti matrena mai sarva guhashaye manogatir avichinna yatha gangam basombudau. So just as the water of the Ganges flows naturally down towards the ocean, such devotional ecstasy, uninterrupted by any material condition, flows towards the Supreme Lord. Okay, so the devotional service flows like the Ganges. So here the word used is avichinna. Avichinna or apratihata means the same thing, uninterrupted. So devotional service cannot be interrupted by any material condition. Just like in the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, which will come later on, that is 2nd canto, 9th chapter, verse number 36. There also, Krishna himself was speaking to Brahma. He used the words Sarvatra Sarvada. Devotional service is Sarvatra Sarvada. Sarvatra means at all times, and Sarvada means in all places. Devotional service can be practiced at all times, in all places. And there Srila Prabhupada very beautifully explains that how devotional service can be practiced right from the womb of